Greetings and welcome to another episode of the Sisonke Diski Chat. My name is Dan Moleko and this is the first one that we're doing in 2021, and it comes at the back of something very special, something very big, something very iconic that is about to happen. We know there is a Soweto Derby, and along with that, there's also some very interesting, some very important news that we will be giving you at the end of this episode. But before we get to that, we're going to go straight ahead to a Kaizer Chiefs legend, our first guest on the show, and his name is Mr. Mark Williams. Mr. Mark Williams, welcome to the Sisonke Diski Chat.
Oh, thank you for having me on this Sisonke Diski Challenge.
Yeah, we're going to be having a chat with Phumudzo Manenzhe later on. But before we get to that, I'm going to start with you. And obviously, we're speaking about the Soweto Derby. It's just around the corner. Orlando Pirates taking on Kaizer Chiefs. We've had 2 cup games so far. But when it comes to the league, it's a bit of a different game. But however, whichever way you look at it, the Soweto Derby is a different game than any other match that's on the league, and no disrespect to other teams. For you, what makes the Soweto Derby so special?
You know, just remember I'm from Cape Town. So, you know, when I used to watch it on TV, Pirates and Chiefs, and the atmosphere and how people celebrate the week before the game already, people are talking about it. Everywhere you go, it's a Chiefs and Pirates and that atmosphere. So for me, it was always a wish that, you know, I always wondered that I can play in the Derby, and obviously I had to make that move to come to Joburg. You know, even when I played for Cosmos, you know, when you played against Kaizer Chiefs, there is a good feeling because of, you know, Bura Joe, that's been sort of a legend in the game from Pirates, and then also playing with Mr. Kaizer Mutahung. But, you know, the Derby, it is really special. You know, you get goosebumps, you can't sleep, you don't know what to do, you can't wait till the game starts. But I think my first Derby game was quite exciting when I started joining for Kaizer Chiefs, yeah.
And speaking about that first Derby game, this is a huge game. I mean, you have 90,000 people at the stadium. Never mind the people watching from home, and all that happens during the week. When you first stepped onto the stadium for that first Soweto Derby match, what was going through your mind?
Look, to be honest with you, I think that for me it started always the day before the game. Because I think that if I had to do that, I would lose myself. When you see where is all these people coming for only 2 games, they're coming from all over, all 9 provinces. The atmosphere, you know, so it takes you away actually. So if you can't keep your head, you'll see some players get lost in the game. Because when the coach starts speaking to them, you know, the concentration isn't there. And I think that was a part of me that I could always keep making sure that, you know, I know what my job was. My job was just to score goals here and seeing that Kaizer Chiefs fans celebrating there. But, you know, from the Monday going into the Saturday, everywhere you walk, just people talking about Derby. And being part of that, it's a big occasion. So for me, it was something very special. But you have to be on the field to experience what it is. I think just the crowd alone, when the players start talking to you on the field, you can't even hear each other. That's how amazing the Derby is. And for me to be part of it, it was a great feeling.
You talk about the prep goes from Monday, obviously leading up to the Saturday of the match. How are you able to navigate your mind to concentrate at the job that you're supposed to do on the Saturday? I mean, on Monday, you come from training, you go to the shops, people are there. On Tuesday, you go to the petrol station, people are there. At home, you've got expectations from friends and family, and never mind the expectations that you have from the club. How do you navigate all of that so that you amalgamate all those things into one, recon, and this is what I'm doing, regardless of the noise that I've been hearing the entire week?
Look, I think I was fortunately actually because at that stage I was playing overseas. So, you know, I had a 3-year time in Belgium. Then I had a 2-year time in England. So I had all that experience already about what it is when, you know, big games and things like that, what I needed to do. For me, besides the concentration, because it can just like that take you away if you're not concentrate. But I used to visualize, you know. And at my stage, you know, if somebody had to ask me to write it, I wouldn't know how to write visualize. But I knew that for me is that when it started on the training, I used to take on the training and then know what I needed to do. Because you just said it now. When you see yourself on TV, they talk about you. You can lose concentration like that. But I think what I used to do, or to relax myself, I used to go out on a night before the game. And I would go to a pub, have a couple of beers, relax myself, but nothing heavy, because I know tomorrow I've got a job to do. And the coaches knew about it. I was, fortunately, there was a coach called Paul Dolaza. And he would say to me, who would you like to play with tomorrow in the derby? And I remember, may his soul rest in peace, Mark Batchelor was one of the strikers. And we had another 2 strikers, but shorter. And I would say, I think you must play Mark. But the reason why I said Mark, because Pirates used to have a guy called Shoes, or he was a defender. Lusuzi, what. And this guy kicked everything that moved. And I thought that if I have Mark Batchelor, we can have a plan that the first 5 minutes, whoever goes up with him must make sure we hit him. And, that was always our plan, because if he hits you first, then you're going to be, So I think that coming back after I used to go out the night before, not going out and things like that, I was more relaxed. Then I was having pre-match meal and having breakfast, and the coach used to pick the team. And then I knew what my job was. I had brilliant midfielders that I played with, like Thabo Muki, Segs Kongwani, Tabang Lebisi, and I remember Total was a sponsor, actually. And I said to the guy, listen here, if you want me to score goals, I need 10,000 rand, because I need to pay these guys to pass me the ball. And he made sure he gave me the 10,000. I made sure I paid them each 2,000 to pass me the ball.
Yeah.
I got 4,000, but believe me, when they heard that, I scored goals. And at the first derby, when I scored the first goal, I never had experience like that. It was amazing. It went on. It's almost like, even after the game, you just hear that noise. But there was a guy called Thunder Legs of Thunder. Jerry Scosano, yeah. And I remember looking at him, and I thought they talk a lot about him. And I look at Brian, Spider-Man, and halftime we're leading 1-0, and he walked down the tunnel, and he looked at me, and we're coming up second half, and he looked at me and said, how many goals are you going to score? And I usually don't talk to any player because I'm focusing, I'm serious. I looked at this little, small, stocky man, called Legs of Thunder. I said, well, I'm going to score 1. He said, well, then I'm going to score 2. So, come second half, I scored the 1 goal, we're leading 2-0. 10 minutes to go, Legs of Thunder scored 2 goals. But, that was my first derby experience, but what an amazing feeling. It is something, it's like you eating this things in your mouth, and it just can't get up. It's just the joyfulness, and when you see how people go home, being happy and celebrating, I think all you want to do is make sure that you give the best on the day of the game.
And, you mentioned that people came from all corners of the country, all 9 provinces. When you get into the stadium, obviously the experience of the fans, you get them in the bus getting into the stadium. Don't you get jelly legs? Don't you start getting nervous on some, okay, cool, do I really want to go and face all these 90,000 people screaming at me? What if I make a mistake and they go, and because fans do all sorts of things on the stand, but that mental journey that you go through in the bus getting into the stadium, in the tunnel going into the pitch for your warm-up / when you go to line up before the game starts, don't you get scared?
You get scared when you see the people. Or I'll talk about myself. I got scared when I see so many people. I'm like, where do they come from? And then we walk around the field, and, we saw the Amakosi sign, and things like that. And people just give you that extra energy. And I used to draw my energy from the fans, actually. I never lacked confidence. I used to tell the coach that I'm going to score today. So for me, it was never about trying to get scared. Sometimes, yes, I lose a bit of breathing. Because you breathe in and you find out that you can't, it's a different breathing.
Yeah.
because of the fans. It's like, wow, what's happening here today? But I kept myself cool, knowing that, my job was just to go on the field. As long as I give 100%, I will score goals because I've got a gift from God. That's one thing that I knew.
And we're speaking about the fans now and the energy that players were able to draw from them. We are in a situation now where fans are not at the stadium at all. How difficult do you think it is, or how easy do you think it is for players now to play games with the magnitude of a Soweto Derby, knowing that 90,000 of us are not there blowing the vuvuzelas and saying, hey, pass, 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 and just being that soul, that 12th man in the stadium. It's literally just club personnel, security, the league's officials, and that's about it.
Yeah, I can imagine, let's put it like this. When I played for Hellenic, we had about probably 20, 50 supporters.
Yeah.
So I know what that is. You can hear one another shouting, from the goalkeeper shouting there. The atmosphere can never be the same. I don't think that any player can tell me that when you play 90,000, when you play 10 people, it's the same atmosphere. There's no energy. You're going to have to draw your energy from yourself. And that's when you can see quality players, actually. Because, first of all, you want to make sure you don't lose. I think the coaches start with them, because they want to make sure if they get a point, that their job are still safe, actually. Just being on that field, it's supposed to be what we have done this whole week into this derby. Because, as you know, that Pirates so far has been having a good run. Chiefs is the one that's only picking it up now. But I knew that when 2 or 3 players are going to be coming from the injuries, that Chiefs are going to have that same sort of, we can do it. Before it was a matter of Dalkevich not playing, then there's nobody up front because Kamat is not bringing up, Manyama is not bringing up, and this guy is so hungry. When I watch him, he reminds me of a certain player that I'll run for anything, I'll die for the team. And if you have a player like that, it just rubs off the other players. I don't know if I made a mistake or I saw something that he was the captain.
Yes, I think that's in a recent game. Yes, he
Right.
was wearing the
Now,
captain's armband.
besides me and Coach Kevin Hunt, we have a good relationship and things like that. But I can understand why he's making him the captain, because that energy that he wants to win each and every game. And it's called hunger. And some of our players has lost it. I think that the Kamat Billiard, the Willards, obviously the legs are no more the same. But you need to have hunger, because if you don't have hunger, you're losing the sight of the game and knowing what the derby is all about. And I think by him being in there, you can see suddenly they got 2, 3 good results. So this derby, a lot of people are still going to watch it on TV. Yes, it's not the same, but they have to put their mindset onto that. Everybody in the country is watching us. So that's what we want to see. We don't want to see they must play safe. Because I never thought the derby was about playing safe. I think the derby is about making sure that each and every player gives 100%. And if you don't, we're not waiting for the coach or waiting for halftime. Like I see nowadays, players halftime, they get together, they want to talk. No, not in our days.
Yeah.
You had your time to talk while you were playing. Now, we go to the room, and the manager must tell us what we're doing wrong. So for me, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a good game. Before I would have said it's easy for Pirates to win, but now that they got a couple of players that's fit and ready to play, I think it's going to be quite exciting.
We look at tactics in a game like that. We were speaking about the absence of fans. When you've got a Soweto Derby, you know that the coach will be like, go to the wing, close the gap in the middle, pass the ball. And you wouldn't be able to hear that. Now, even when you're watching TV at home, you can hear some of the instructions that you're hearing from Coach Zinbauer or Coach Kevin Hunt. Do you think that makes life easier for the players because they can hear what is being told to them, or does it add another dimension of difficulty?
No, it's difficult. I mean, I used to, Gavin's father-in-law, Budgie Byrne, was the coach at Hellenic.
Yeah.
And he used to shout, So I used to play on the wings, actually. And then I can hear the next mistake I make, he's going to shout, and it's going to be, oh, this is not what I want. And when you miss the opportunity, the first thing you do, you're looking at the coach, because you know the reaction.
Yeah.
I don't think it's easy. I don't think there's any player that want to play on the coach's side, because then it's so easy for him to talk to you directly.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you are far away from that, because you're going to make mistakes. Football is about making mistakes. It's not easier. I think maybe you get away when there's a bit of fans, because you can make like you heard or you didn't heard, but you can react because, maybe you didn't hear him, but believe me, any player, when you make a mistake, the first thing you do, you intend to look to the coach. So in the derby, you can try and get away with it. So I think this is more difficult, because you can hear direct what the coach is telling you, and a player doesn't want to hear that.
So the reason why I'm bringing that up is, which one would you rather have? The coach shouting at you, or having the fans? Having the fans going?
I want the fans. It's fine. They can do that. A couple of times I was in a situation like that where they showed, take him off. Not at Chiefs, at Sundowns and some of the other teams when I played, But I've got that will of playing until the last minute. So I never gave up. I knew that even in the 91 minute, I'm going to score. If I don't score, whoever we're playing next week, you're going to get punished, because I make sure that I score. And it wasn't me. There was a lot of players that time. You had the guys like Fani Madida, consistent, Saint McGregor, Noel Cousins, Bennett Masinga, Phil Masinga, Calvin Peterson, Duncan Crowley. These guys used to score week in, week out. And if we don't score, you can see we are angry. So then the midfielders had to play. Nowadays, if you miss, it's like, no, not in our days. There's no thumbs up, Baba.
Yeah.
You're going to have to prove to us the next one you must put in the back of the net. And that is what the players had that time, yes.
And we love the Soweto Derby so much, because you can go to any part of the country. There is a story to tell about a Kaizer Chiefs. There is a story to tell about Orlando Pirates. But just in the time that you were looking at the Soweto Derby leading up to you being a professional footballer, and looking at it from all the knowledge that you've acquired during your playing days, why do you think this game is so special? We can actually classify it as one of the biggest games on the African continent.
Yeah, no, it is. I think it is the biggest game. Yes, we talked about Al Ahly and Zamalek, I think. But, I think on TV and people being present in it, I think it's one of the biggest games in the African continent. But when you say why, I think it's understated, because I remember that when I spoke to certain people in the olden days, remember there was nothing much to do for black people and colored people. I think there was a team called Swallows also that was part of it, of this derby. Yeah. So people used to go to the soccer fields. I used to play at Orlando Stadium when it was Orlando Stadium. There was just the fans and 2-3 seats on top. People were sitting all over fence, on the field. I remember playing there. So for me, what makes it so special, because I think it was something that entertained people for 30 years, 40 years ago. That they know when they go to the field, they can talk about it when they come home. And it's about having some drinks and just talking, even if the result wasn't going their way, but everybody was celebrating. So for me, it was about entertaining. I think myself, I became an entertainer. I wasn't a soccer player when it came to football. My job was, I had to score goals. And thanks God for that. I found out I had that gift from God to score goals. So I knew that there were some people that came to the stadium that never had food to eat, but they'll take their last money to come to the game. So if I just do my job and score goals, these people that's going home, they will be full. They will be full. They're no more hungry. And that's what I picked up, because some people used to explain to me what it is. I used to go to Mpumalanga in Northern Cape, where people told me that, we don't care where Chiefs play. As long as I'm there, So every game that I played, I made sure that after the game, I have a chat with the fans, touching them, talking to them. And believe me, there wasn't a door closed. I could go into any Sabine, any whatever nightclub it was on the house. That's how much people love these two teams.
So we look at what's lying ahead with the derby. A lot of youngsters more from a Kaizer Chiefs point of view than Orlando Pirates point of view. You've been there as not necessarily a youngster, but you've been a youngster playing in a big game. And when you played in a derby, there were youngsters that were in the team with you. So what advice would you give to those youngsters that are not necessarily going into their first derby per se, but they're going into a derby? But going into a derby, the very next one that you play feels like it's the first one.
Yeah, it's always going to be like that. I think that's just advice for, especially when you say young players, you know. And I've seen they got two players actually, Ngobo and
there's Mashiane.
Masiana.
Well, yeah.
I've liked actually what I've seen, you know, very talented. I think it starts with the coach, because the one thing that's on their side, I think, is because the fans are not there. So they can, all you have to say is, listen here, boy, go out there, do the same what you were doing week in, week out. Forget about it's a derby game. Yes, in his mind, you can tell him that he won't forget. Yeah. He knows it's a derby. But because there's no fans, you can try and manage him. You know, tap him on his back, give him a kind of confidence and say, you know what you did against Sundowns, you know what you did against Swallows, those, just do the same. Go out and enjoy yourself. I think if coaches can do that to some players, because not all are mentally strong.
Yeah.
You know, I know Coach Kevin Hunt, he's a mental person because they played for Hellenic. Hellenic was just a white team. We were 4 colors in the team. I was one of them. These guys used to swear me every second word. It made me tough. It made me tough. But nowadays, you can't. I asked him a couple of times. He said, Williams, I can't ever go at these players. They'll start crying. So the mentality also has to change. But I think all you have to do for these young players is just to tap him on the back and say, listen here, my boy, go out there, let's do what you're good at. Go in there and enjoy your game. If you're going to give him too much, he's going to lose sight of it, yeah. And then it's going to become like a derby, and, you know, a lot of times players don't go through it because sometimes even the muscles start pulling. Yeah. Because it's amazing what the derby can do. You can be how fit. If your breathing is not right, the muscles start giving in. You know, small things that just speeds up, you know, lack of concentration. So it starts with the coach, then it starts with the captain. Speaking to the young players and telling them, listen here, you know what you have done the past 2-3 weeks. It's just another game, although we know it's not another game. Yeah. Go out and enjoy it. I think that's what they all want to hear. The less information you give him, the better he will go out and remember those few words. Because if you give him too much, he might just overdo it. And that's what I found about a lot of young players. But I think the players that I've seen so far, they you know, I think Coach Kevin Hunt will give them the right info, and I think they will have a good game, one of them.
On the pressure that you don't put with the young players, especially now that they're playing without fans at the stadium, does it work to their advantage/disadvantage in starting now being able to express themselves 2, 3, 4, 5 months, maybe next year, depending on when fans are going to be allowed back at the stadium? Suddenly they are used to not having that environment around them, and next thing they go to an FNB Stadium, there's 90,000 people. Do you still continue with what you've been doing, or do you sort of like sing to what the crowd is looking for?
The player or the
player, that is.
Oh, the player. No. Then it's a different thing. Then it's, you know, the coach has to still stay with the same. You just imagine. You just tell him, imagine the last game you had against them, there was no people. Because I think as soon as you're going to focus on the people, look, it's something that you can't take away. I mean, I'm looking here and I'm trying to see, you know, all these people I can imagine when I was on the field. So you just give him the same instructions. Say, listen here, remember the last game you played? You go out there, you know, just give everything, because everything is good enough. But if you're gonna, if he gets away and look at the fans, remember, it can disturb his game before he even put his foot onto the first 10 minutes of ball, he tried to block the ball, it goes under your feet.
Yeah.
You know, then you can see that nervousness kicking. If he's got talent, it will maybe go for 10 minutes like that. But after the 10 minutes, he will settle down. Because then one of the senior players has to come to me and say, hey, don't worry, hey, don't, come on, unlucky boy, unlucky. Just to make him sure that that is part of the game.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I played for Wolves in England, also, the first ball came to me, and it was not a hard pass, and I tried to control it, but the crowd were waiting for me to touch the ball, and it went under my feet. And you can imagine how I felt, you know. So, you know, those things, it's part of the game. I think that the sooner you can just kick into it and say, listen, this is just another game, afterwards, you can celebrate.
Yeah.
The same like the fans. I think that for you know, lose or win, because you don't want to be on the losing side because you got that bragging rights. You know, you walk into town, suddenly you're putting chest out because you got the result, you got the slag, techies, or you know, you're just showing a bit of what, you know.
Shining.
About shining. Yeah, we are here because we got the 3 points from the other counters.
I'm not going to ask you about predictions because those, I think they've been done too many times. We're just going to have to wait and see what happens out. Actually, what do you think is going to happen?
Well, for me, you know what, I mean, I've seen Pirates played now. And it's just a pity that they changed the structure when they play against top teams. When they used to play the 3 up front, 3 in the middle, and 4 at the back, they were dangerous. Suddenly now they're playing Otto, then they got Pule, and they got Lodge, but they're not up front. So there's not a lot of bodies going forward.
Yeah.
So once there's not a lot of bodies going forward, you can control them. And Chiefs would love to play like that. If they don't play 3 strikers against Chiefs, they're gonna lose. You know, I'm giving Chiefs a point because I think that Coach Kevin Hunt will take the point. I think from a Pirates point of view, with the players that they got, you know, the new signings that they got, you have to say they are the favorites in the derby. So if I have to, because I've seen how they played, I think this can be a draw, yeah.
Okay. It's a draw. All right. Well, you heard it from Mr. Williams himself. He says a draw. I'm not going to pick any sides because we love both teams. That's why we are behind both teams, Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates. And I said to you at the start of this episode that we've got some exciting news for you. But before we get to those exciting news, let's have a chat to Phumudzo Manenzhe, former Orlando Pirates player, to get his thoughts on the iconic Soweto Derby. Pomoto, welcome to the Sisonke Diski Chat.
Thank you, Len, for welcoming me and to all the viewers and the listeners of the show.
We've actually been trying to get you for a long time, so I'm actually glad that you're finally here. And I mean, obviously, like I said, this is the first one of the year, and it's ironic that it's the first Sisonke Diski Chat of 2021, and the first big match of 2021 is literally upon us. And of course, I'm talking about the Soweto Derby. You are somebody who's played in plenty of those. So today we're just going to be picking your mind around the mentality that goes in your head when you're looking forward to one, whether it's a cup game or it's a league game. But I'm going to start you with the most memorable Soweto Derby that you've ever taken part in.
I think it will have to be the one where Orlando Pirates who played with 6 to 7 players from the development team. I thought that was a dream because when I looked around the field, I knew everybody's strength and everybody's weaknesses that I was playing with, and they knew mine. And unfortunate that we did not win the game. It ended up in a 1-1 draw. I think I provided the assist for Gift Leremi's goal on the day, and then may his soul rest in peace. Skarango West scored the equalizer for Kaizer Chiefs. May his soul rest in peace. And in that derby, I think that was a dream come true for me, a dream come true for Orlando Pirates, the development team, to see us graduate and play at that level and not even lose the game on the day, ending up getting a draw in that game. I think that was the most memorable derby for me.
What makes the Soweto Derby so special? I mean, we know we're talking about giants of South African football here. We're talking Orlando Pirates, we're talking Kaizer Chiefs, but there's just something special about this game. I mean, even the mentality that you go into the game with is not the same, and this is no disrespect to other teams in the league. But when you step on the field, and you can see your opponents are either in black and white or back in black and gold, like your mind, change at same time. What makes the game so special?
I think it starts from training. I think as players, we know when the derby is going to be played. You see that players that are not usually early at training, they are early at training for that week. And it's a special game because it brings the country to a standstill. This is a game that divides marriages, congregations at church, political parties are divided because of this special game. The treatment of it, you'd see by the atmosphere at training. And when you get there, the guys are early. I remember one season where training was supposed to start at 9 o'clock. I think we were all on the field by 8:15. And Kostadin Papik said, I wish we can play a derby every week because everybody was on time. No player, you'd find no player injured in that week. Even those that are not yet ready to come back to full training, they want to come back to full training. And that is the interesting thing about the derby. But there's one special thing that I want to share with you with my first Soweto Derby.
Yeah.
At training, not even going to the game, at training. I remember Sisonke was still with us at the Orlando Pirates family. I can't remember which coach had just left. Augusto Palacios was the caretaker coach. And I remember Sizo saying, oh, the babiki Rita Luka, And funny enough, on that Monday when we got to training, there were big speakers that you see at festivals. They brought those speakers for us to be able to be prepared to play in front of 90,000 people. Get used to calling land and it does not hear you with a distance like this. So they put speakers. The whole training session, the speakers were on. There was noise so that we get used to the noise come Saturday. And I thought that was one special thing that Sizo and the Orlando Pirates team did for us, because when we got to the game on Saturday, it was not surprising. You got used to calling a teammate that is standing 5 meters away, you have to shout, because on Saturday, if you don't shout, he will never hear you.
So you mentioned that specific moment of obviously getting you ready for nitty-gritties like that. When you are in a team setup, obviously you've got other guys who are coming from, not necessarily in the country. I mean, if you are from Durban, Polokwane, wherever in the country, you know what the magnitude of a Soweto Derby is. Now, when you've got other guys from foreign countries coming to Orlando Pirates or Kaizer Chiefs, they might not be used to that atmosphere. How were you guys able to integrate them into, like, hey, this is not like the game we played the weekend there. This is another beast. Yeah. And for them to gradually get into that mentality that, okay, cool, this is not just any game. This is a Soweto Derby.
I remember I was roommate with the principal, Perry Mutapa. And at that time, I think we also had Lelombele. And a lot of people knows Lelombele with the step overs. He doesn't want to pass the ball. So I say to him the day before the game, he was not passing a training. So Kiroko and Lelo, pass the ball. Because if you don't pass the ball on Saturday, they're going to eat you. The ones around this, they're going to eat you. He thought I was joking. And we go to the game. Lelo was busy. First time he does it, it goes well, it goes past. Second time, they take the ball. The second time, they take the ball. They started calling me. So at halftime, he says to me, hey, your friends are calling me. You told them to call me. I said to him, this is the Soweto Derby. It's a different beast. But on the other side, a person like Pere Mutapa, for me, says he was scared when they told him to go warm up. And you could feel now what we were saying about the Soweto Derby. He says even when you go to warm up, the Kaizer Chiefs supporters boo you for going to warm up. Imagine if you go in. So that's how we tried to get the guys that are from our neighboring countries to understand the nature of the derby. And this is one game that can really make your career at Orlando Pirates or at the Kaizer Chiefs, or it can break that career.
You speak about what Lelombelo was doing, the step-overs. There's other players, there's a host of them that we can mention, and some of the special things that they were able to do on the field. When is it enough? And especially in a game like, there are other games that you can play, and you can be like, okay, here I can express myself, maybe from here, hanyani to there, but I'm not going to go over. Soweto Derby, you've got the ball. At what level of confidence do you feel that, okay, I'm going to show the fans something special, but at the same time, I must also be a team player?
The important thing, one thing that I need to say about our South African fans, our South African supporters, bamnandi la ngediski, they understand the game and they want you to express yourself, but don't lose the ball. Express yourself going forward. Don't express yourself going backwards, because if you're doing these tricks and you're going backwards, busy.
Yeah.
And this is one thing that you need to learn quickly and develop as a player. And if you are an offensive player, you must try not to lose the ball. The first two, 3 touches that you get, you need to keep it simple. Control, play it back. One-touch football. Be in the zone to be able to understand, to say, okay, I'm on top of it now. Now I can control and turn as a striker. You know, the first one, you'll play a wall pass. Second one, 2-touch nyana pass. But when the confidence is there, you then hold it, feel where your defender is, and turn if he's close to you. So that's how you develop into the game, and you get your confidence when the game goes on.
Expectation-wise, obviously, like say Monday today or Sunday, you're looking, there's a derby ahead ka weekend. Obviously, you're meeting with family. Obviously, when you go to the shops, you're meeting with the fans. And there's also your teammates when you go to training. Obviously, the foundation expectation here is that you win a weekend. But the different messages that you get, what were some of those that you got, obviously, from the team, from your family, and from the fans leading up to a Soweto Derby?
It's a tricky one. Those good luck messages, it's the mentality, it's your state of mind. It can be pressure, it can be encouragement. You're getting a phone call from your uncle that has not called you in like 6 months. But that week, he will phone you 6 times.
Yeah.
It's things like that. The phone calls that you get from your friends, the Colberts of this world, they phone you. Back to your boy, hey, I can tell you already, this Mang is going to be watching. And you found the people at the garage. Hey, we're going to tell you petrol full tank. If full tank we fuck Monday, early.
It lasted the whole week.
Usafuna ukubonakala ema shop, you know, ukuyothenga isinkwa awufuna ukuvela kakhulu, because they are mentioning it. They tell you straight, or no, mfethu, I'm coming with friends. I bought a ticket, my friend is buying food. After that, there's somebody that is buying entertainment for after the game. Who don't spoil our party. So all of that messages that you get, the good luck messages that you get, is good luck from them. But when you take it and you're sitting alone, you're thinking pressure. I have to do well. Now, I've just spoken about those people outside the family of an Orlando Pirates or a Kaizer Chiefs. Then there's the ones at the inside that wants you to play for the badge in front of the jersey. The other ones, they want you to play for the name at the back. That is your family. The supporters, they want you to play for the badge in front of the jersey. That's how the family of Orlando Pirates or Kaizer Chiefs wants you to do. But at the end of the day, you just need to go out there, give your best, and hopefully the best would be good enough on the day.
On the Friday night, game is tomorrow. Do you clear your mind of anything else that you've heard during the week? Obviously you would have gone through tactics, video analysis, and all of those things. Friday night, they were bloma. Do you like let loose and be like, bloma la game sani? Or is there that level of nervousness? And this is maybe nervousness, first game, obviously it's there. Mare, even if it's a game, it's a 10, it's over 20, it's a 50, the same level of nervousness is still there.
If you no more get nervous, get worried, your passion is gone. You still get nervous at all times. I remember because I used to know that Friday, I need to go for my final touch-up at my man at the salon.
Yeah.
Final touch-up, you are there, but you need to be sneaked in and sneaked out. Because at that time, couldn't queue up. But they know he has to go to camp. You sneak in, you do your hair, you make sure that everything is fresh. You're starting to focus now on the game. That's the final preparations that you are having. Because from there, you'll have a training session in the morning. Let's say from 9 to 11 o'clock. Then they want you need to meet at 2 o'clock or at 3 o'clock. After that, you go drop off your car, you get in the bus takes you to camp. There is no more outside world from there. That's when you switch on. Now you're starting to think, the whole week, what I was doing the whole week was to win the heart of the coach, to put me in that starting lineup. When the game starts, it's half the coach, half your brain. And especially with the supporters, you need to give them that percent. If there's somebody open, you can hear by the crowd, pass. You think, but I don't want to pass. But if you don't do what they're asking you for, and you lose the ball, it becomes a problem. So during the week, you fight to win yourself a place in the starting lineup, but match day when it comes, you need to focus on the game. Don't play the occasion, play the match.
So I'm going to touch on the what the fans are able to do, sort of like being PlayStation like pass, you end up doing that, the pressure that comes from them. That obviously it contributes to some of the decisions that players do on the field. Now, defender, do you feel that there's even more pressure because coach hearing on the sidelines? Is it more relaxed? Yes, sometimes maybe you feel those eyeballs stuck on room. People are sitting in front of their televisions, but do you think it's less pressure or more pressure in the current state that we are in now? Because 15 years and give us span for both teams.
No pressure. The only pressure that you'll get is from the technical team. The pressure that you'll get is from the technical team because you have no excuse. Because I remember playing in the derby, the coach was shouting, I could hear him clearly what he was saying. I just went, I can't hear you. I could hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
But because the crowd is there, you've got an excuse to say, coach, I couldn't hear. But now, there's no excuse. The coach is calling you clearly, your teammate is calling you clearly to say, penalty area, crosser. Everybody can hear that. You have no excuse. So I'm saying, I think it's better for the players to play without the crowd because of the pressure that the crowds put, especially in a Soweto Derby. Because in a Soweto Derby, you can hear it clearly. One touch, that's what the supporters want you to do. But at that moment, you're thinking, I can control. It's 1v1. I can use my pace, my skill to go past and then have a shot at goal. But the supporters, because they've got an aerial view, they can see your teammate in a better position at all times. They always see the 2 or 3 passing options that you have at all times. But you, as a player on the ground, at eye view, there's some of the visions that you can see, or some of the angles that you can see. Yeah. So without the supporters, I would say less pressure for the players, especially those that are playing in their first derbies, in their second derbies. It's less pressure.
So you speak about when a coach is giving out instructions and gaming on TV, we can hear some of the instructions that are being told, like, no, open, left, pass, pass. Doesn't that water the game a little bit? Because, I mean, if Coach Zinbawa is saying, or no, Pule, do this, surely the other players of the opponents can hear, or, oh, okay, Bar ole abule la, wena kwala space, nageta kwala hi. Does it not make it a tad bit difficult in terms of your approach to the game?
Game intelligence. That's where you need game intelligence. When do the opposite to what the coach is saying, but the key is don't lose the ball. Because if you lose the ball and the coach and all your teammates have told you what to do, it means you can be caught on transition. You can be caught on break attack. So when the coach is saying that, yes, good, I'm hoping that the opponents are listening. Then I'll do opposite. Use my game intelligence. Use my individual skill. Use my big match temperament to then make my own decision. And hopefully that decision will give the results for the team. The only problem becomes if that decision that you are taking does not benefit the team, and you lose the ball, and they go on a counter, and they create an opportunity from there. The coach and the supporter sitting at home will kill you.
I'm going to ask you this, and I'm going to put you on the spot. When you were growing up, watching the Soweto Derby, from both teams, I'm going to ask you to choose 2 players from each side. Who were you looking up to?
Sure. You know, it's funny if you are a youngster and you're watching. It's different. You don't even watch for the person that is playing your position. You watch for that player that is doing nice things at that time on the field. You know, Soweto Derby, Jerris Kosana comes to mind. Dr. Kumalo comes to mind. Steve Chipa comes to mind. Lucky enough, I got to play with Chipa at some point in my career and in his career. So those were some of the players that you used to look at. You used to look at a Pauline Ndlanya to say, how does he do things? You know, but when you're getting to look at a Pauline Ndlanya, you are growing up. You're starting to see yourself. You're dreaming to say, one day I want to play in the Soweto Derby. He's big, he's strong. He runs, he headers the ball, he positions himself well. Then you're starting to see those things. But for the nice things, the Thabo Mokis are there. The Dr. Kumalos are there, you know. So those are the guys that were doing the nice things at that time. And when you are watching the Soweto Derby, you're looking forward to it to say, I wish he can get the ball more.
when you were playing, two opponents that you were like, Diman Wadlala, I'm going to have to deal with him, and two teammates that you knew, these ones in the side, Remnati.
He's very silly. His name is Fabian McCarthy. Like, Fabian, you'll be looking to receive the ball. He pulls your shots down. That thing throws you off. You want to jump and head, he pulls your shots up. So he was just playing mental games with you. Fabian McCarthy, it's a corner kick, it's about to be taken, you'll go down and untie your shoes. So that guy used to irritate me to the last minute. I used to know that when I'm coming up at Fabian McCarthy, he's a guy that, in terms of pace, he did not have the pace, but his timing was very good. But he also used to irritate me a lot and disturb me with off-the-field things. You're talking about players that I played with. I still believe today that Gift Leremi, may his soul rest in peace. This is one guy that I used to know will unlock the defenders at any given point. If Gift looks up and I say feet, if he says, I used to trust him, Uskata, I knew. I turn around and I know that it's coming. He has given you that license. A guy that could play equally well on his left or his right foot. Shooting technique, 1v1, pace, explosive speed, slick, nippy. That was Gift Leremi for you. And I used to smile every time when he was on the pitch. Then there's the little Napoleon. Little Napoleon used to make the job easy because he used to say to us big strikers, one touching corner la, ngugadile boy. Uzolthola mawujika nje uzolthola sewubhekane no goalkeeper. That was Vilakazi for you, a box to box midfielder, a midfielder that positioned himself well. He made this number 10 role to look easy. When the team was defending, you would find him defending. Every time the ball came to me in the air, I used to know if I want to hold it up, the moment I opened up my body, I knew Vilakazi would be there as an option. So for me, Vilakazi, Gift Leremi.
When you played the derby, obviously you had seen it as Ulentwana growing up. You played in it and you've seen it now outside of playing and having the intelligence of having played in the derby. So sort of like, let me say, 3 stages of experience in the Soweto Derby. Now where you are, having gone through those other 2 stages, what do you think makes the derby such an iconic game?
I think it's a game for players with big match temperament. It's a game for players with guts. It's a game of risk takers. If you're not a risk taker, you're not going to make a name for yourself in the Soweto Derby. You need to be a player that has got a lot of confidence in yourself. I'll take for example a player like at the moment, Thembi Nkosi-Lodge. You know that when he gets the ball, he's coming to you. As a defender, you know that he's going to come to you and he's going to uzokuqonda straight. Those are the type of players that you need in the Soweto Derby. You're talking on the other side of Kaizer Chiefs. I'm happy now to say this weekend that we are going to, I want to see another generation of players coming through. I want to see a Happy Mashiane do well. I want to see a Ngobo do well. The reason I'm saying that, I'm from the same situation as them. I come from the Orlando Pirates development. I like to see youngsters that are groomed, knowing the culture of the team, growing up. They get to the senior stage and they do well in that stage. So those are the type of players that I look forward to seeing. I look forward to seeing a Richard Ofori in goals for Orlando Pirates. He's backing instructions at all times. You can see that he wants to make a difference. He wants to command his area. So those are the type of players that I want to see. We know that of the players that have made the names for themselves, but we would like to see a new generations of players, especially the ones that are coming from development, taking the stage.
All right, and the reason why I was asking you about the iconic status of the Soweto Derby is there's something iconic actually that's about to happen, thanks to Vodacom, Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs.
Yeah.
But before I go into the whole thing, obviously, Kasi, you know the streets, Diski, or you're just roaming around. Do you have any special moments about a car that I would consider very bold, a car that I would consider very beautiful? Ironic that I'm saying that because that was your nickname. You do know which car I'm talking about, and do you have any memories about that car?
Mamela, it's bold, it's beautiful, it catches your attention. And more we clever as a cast, we ask between Kulumangan. Even though if uhlala ema-suburbsini ushaya i-private school uyayazi igusheshe. There is no way you don't know about igusheshe. Mawubheka igusheshe ubona out efaka isport ngaphakathi i-out ezifrustanayo ngaphakathi kwegusheshe. So with that I understand the iconic car that he's speaking about.
Yeah.
I'm in studio on Saturday.
Oh yes, you're doing the derby this weekend.
Doing the Soweto Derby. My partner in crime, right, is Doc Kumalo, the man that I watched as a youngster and I admired. I now work with him with God's mercy and grace. His nickname is 16 Valve.
And funny you should mention the word 16 valve, or the number in the word 16 valve, because along with the icon that the Gusheshe is, there's also a rounder, 16V twin cam. I don't know if it's a coincidence that Dr. Kumalo, 16V, is going to be with you, SABC1, when you guys are doing the Soweto Derby this weekend. And your nickname, the Bold and the Beautiful, speaks to a Gusheshe, which is a bold car, and it's very beautiful. But between the two, if I put you like attention all on you, which one do you go with?
I want to say to the viewers at home, this one is for you. I'm the Bold and the Beautiful. The man that I'm working with is 16V, is Dr. Kumalo. I'm saying, mina ngiclever yase Orlando ke, ungangibheki ujahile. Bheka la ngishaye all black. So, on Saturday, I'm going to make this bold move. Ask my director and my producer to park those two cars inside Auckland Park at SABC, and you'll tell me which one was driven by who. But esipagania, mamela, samba ngekusheshe thina. Kentucky Rounder, yala babanye.
I'm not going to mention anybody's names because they're not here. But yeah, you've pretty much summed it up. And like Pomoto said, the Gusheshe, the ones for the bold and the beautiful, and the Kentucky Rounder for those who have 16 valves or more. And if you want to win yourself any one of those two cars, it's very simple. The instructions are on your screen. You can go on, download the Orlando Pirates official app, and then that's how you get your entry. Or connect and stay connected and recharge with KC Mobile. And who knows, you could find yourself driving away with the bold and beautiful Gusheshe BMW 325IS or the Toyota 16V twin cam, also known as the Kentucky Rounder. But the details are on screen, as I said. And good luck and keep entering, and details will be coming to you every week. Follow at Vodacom Soccer on Twitter, and all the details will be there. At Kaizer Chiefs on Twitter, at Orlando Pirates as well on Twitter. We'll have all the details about how you can win yourself one of those two iconic cars. We know which icon Pomoto prefers. He's already made it very bold because it's a beautiful car. Anyway, without wasting further time, because we have to get out of here, Pomoto, thank you very much for your time. I'm not going to ask you about predictions. Yeah, I think we've gone past the stage of predicting how a game is going to end and stuff like that. But do you think it was easier to predict games when fans were in the stadium, or now that they're not in stadiums, as a parting shot?
As a parting shot, it's a very difficult one because we do a lot of video analysis. We analyze the teams. When you go into the Soweto Derby, there's nothing you can analyze about form, because form gets thrown out of the window. It's a big game, big match temperament. It's just for the players not to play the occasion, but for the players to play the game. And it's always difficult because now you want to make a prediction. The heart is saying one thing, the mind is saying another. So it's a very difficult decision to make. But I say all the best to both teams. But siyayazi iphepezulu.
Hey, I'm not going to say anything. Phumudzo has said it. Anyway, Phumudzo, thank you very much for joining us right here on the Sisonke Diski Chat. And you at home as well, thank you very much for being in our company. And don't forget, follow at Vodacom Soccer on Twitter for all the details about our Sisonke Siyawina competition, where you stand to win yourself a Gusheshe or a Kentucky Rounder. And like I said, all the details are on screen right now. And on that note, Sisonke, and we'll catch you again on the next episode of the Sisonke Diski Chat.